Now, back to the Haney Biz Project with investorpreneur Mark Haney.
Welcome back to the Haney Biz Project, brought to you courtesy of Audi Rockland. I'm Mark Haney, and today I am joined by Emmett Spraktes. He's a hometown hero, and he's the author of Selfish Prayer. How you doing, Emmett?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Let's get right into your story. Your story is extensive. You've done so many things, but your book, the title is Selfish Prayer, and I'd like to jump right into that story if you don't mind. What happened when you made that selfish prayer?
What was going on is we were coming back from Bostic. We were doing a kind of a forward position to respond to medevacs in Barge Mattal, and it was a very kinetic time.
It's Afghanistan.
Yeah. Right. And so we were stationed out of Jalalabad. We were forward deployed for the night. We came back after doing a whole bunch of medevacs, and we were flying by this near Asadabad, near a place called Hanukar Miracle. Well, earlier in the day, there's a group called Chosen 93. They're a group of 16 soldiers that had just ripped in. In other words, they just come into the country. They were getting, acclimated. They were trying to find out where all the ambush points were and all that. And what ended up happening is they ended up getting surrounded. And on the north side of them was a lot of small arms, Taliban with small arms. And then to the right and to the left of them, they had anti-aircraft weapons shooting down at them. And then to their 6 o'clock, there was RPGs coming in. So they were completely surrounded.
16 of them, and there's a ton of Taliban all around them.
Yeah, the Taliban goal was to capture a live one, right?
Oh,
and
okay.
So even though...
To interrogate him to find out what was up?
Yeah.
Worse.
Yeah, worse.
Yeah.
So they just kept coming in, and even though the air assets were doing a phenomenal job, the terrain there is very difficult, and it's big boulders. It's just it's hard to navigate. Well, what happened is one of the guys, after fighting for quite a long time, one of the guys got shot in the abdomen, and they needed a medevac. And another guy got hit in the hip, another guy broke an ankle, and so they were fighting. They eventually got to the point where they were out of water, and they were what they call Winchester, almost out of ammunition. So
yeah.
What happened is we just happened to be flying by. Our relief was just a touch late, and we were just going to wave in the air and like, hey, okay, we're going to tap out, and we're going to go. Well, because they were a little late, we heard this medevac request come out, and we were right there.
Yeah.
So we're going to take this,
And just to set the stage on this, you're a CHP medic, and you're in the National Guard. So you're one of the older guys coming in, late 40s coming in. It's and you've done a ton of these type of missions before. And was this just a routine mission, or was this 16 guys getting shot at? This is different.
It was different. I did a lot of missions, a number of them under fire, but you can hear the radioman in the background, and you can hear just this mass volume of gunfire, explosions. It was nothing that I'd heard before. It was direct.
Okay.
And so, you kind of think, well, okay, this is going to be extremely aggressive, and you can hear the conversations that they're having. And so when they say...
High-stress conversations.
Very high stress. And when they made the request for the medevac, we looked at each other. What the Army does is, what they try to do in medevac is the air assault types, the gunships come in and try and calm the area before we come in, so we don't lose the aircraft, we don't lose the crew, we can actually make the rescue occur. This wasn't the case. The guy, when they said we need a medevac, I said, hey, is this guy not going to make it if we don't go in right now? And the medic on the ground said, yeah, he's not going to make it. And we all looked at each other. We knew, because prior to that, we had an agreement. If the guy on the ground said he's not going to make it, didn't matter what everyone else said, we're going to go in. And so, having said that,
wow.
As we're going in, they said, hey, you're going to have to, it's going to be a hoist mission. I said, well, is there any place to land? Because if you can land, you can throw them in real quick and get out of there and treat en route. If you're hoisting in, you're just a really big target. And so,
so you're going down a line. Hoisting in means you're exposed.
Yeah. The ship is not moving as fast. It's a bigger target. I'm hanging on a wire, getting lowered down, and so it's pretty aggressive. And so what we do, and what the National Guard does, is we do a combat hoist, meaning that as we're moving forward, I'm being hoisted down at the same time, and so that way they're not on station very long, and I can get on the ground and start treating and get them ready for a hoist. Well, I asked if they had if they had an HLZ, a helicopter landing zone. And while I was waiting, I could hear all this gunfire. I can hear all this radio activity, and I just prayed a selfish prayer. When you're young, oh man, I really want this job. You pray or whatever. As you get older, you think more about your friends, your family, your coworkers, people that you care about, and you don't do these selfish prayers so much.
Yeah.
You just take responsibility, and and so this was the first time in a very long time.
You said a prayer for
me.
yourself. Oh
Yeah.
man.
So it was very selfish. I was like, oh please God, let there be a HLZ, because I don't want to get a helicopter landing zone, because I don't want to get hoisted through this mess. I mean, it was just insane. And so the radioman came back. He says, "No, there's no place for you to land. It's not going to happen. He didn't say all that, but there's no place to land." And so I remember Brandon Erdman, who was the pilot. Scott St. Aubin was there as the other pilot, and of course, Gifford was the crew chief. We all kind of looked at each other, and Erdman said, "Well, Emmett," I'm like, inside, I was like, "Oh no way!" I was afraid, just being honest. And then, but I said, "Yeah, let's do this," because I knew the guys down there were my son's age.
Yeah.
And they were under fire, and they were injured, and one guy was dying, and it was just a big mess. And I thought, how could I look in a parent's eye and say I was too afraid to go? How could I look at my coworkers back at home, or look at my medevac guys and gals and say, hey, I just couldn't. I couldn't do it.
At the time, you're like almost 50.
Yeah.
You're an athlete for 50. I mean, you're in great. You're older now, but you're a good athlete. But still, you're dropping down there. I mean, this is an athletic maneuver to jump down into a war zone like that. Okay, so what happened as you're going down, and then what happened when you got to the ground?
Well, so what happened is I hooked up. I got all my gear ready. I got my rifle ready. I've got it at the ready. I disconnect my cable so I don't have to talk. Gifford and I can't talk anymore. And so I look at him, I'm like, oh man, this is the last thing someone might hear from me. So I yell at Gifford. I said, tell my family I love them. And he looked at me, and he kind of had this really awkward expression on his face. He goes, you love me? And I go, no, tell my family. He said, I can't hear you. I'm like, So I point my rifle down, I give them the signal, and they start hoisting me down. I'm like, okay, So there I'm making bargains with God now, which I haven't done in a long time since I was a kid.
Yeah. I'm
like, okay, no headshots, all right? Because I want to be a part of the rescue. I don't want to be a part of the effort.
You're hoping for one in the leg or something.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, if I get clipped in the leg, maybe the right lower leg. I never liked that toe.
I'm sorry for laughing, but that's like, wow.
Yeah, and so at a certain point, I realized it kind of a calmness came over me. It's like, for the first time in my professional career, having been a professional risk taker, can I make it? Can I not make it? And knowing where the line was, the first time in my life that it was out of my hands. I was connected to a cable. I was being hoisted down in the middle of this massive firefight. Bullets are, everything is going off. Everything is exploding. I think, well, it's going to be what it's going to be. And I look down, and I see these guys down there, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to do it. And the cable stops. And I'm dangling. Oh. I'm there, and I'm thinking, all right, God, what's going on here? What's happening? And so after about 10 seconds, I, in a very professional, very calm voice, I dropped a couple bombs there, F-bombs there, and they lowered me down. I hit the ground really hard. I still feel it to this day a little bit. Unhooked, and there's a couple guys that were standing up. Everyone else was really packed into the rocks because all the firefight going on, but a couple guys stood up like they were at a rock concert and goes, oh, that was bad, I'm like, get out.
Yeah, get down.
Yeah. So I could see like immediately that, how someone loses the kind of the momentum, and they're kind of withdrawn, and they're kind of resolved to their circumstances.
Yeah.
And most of those men there had been fighting quite a while, and you could see that, I don't know.
They were tired.
Yeah, they were tired. It almost looked like they kind of lost hope. I don't know. I just read. It was really, it was tough. So now I have to be the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and inside I have all this turmoil going on. I'm glad I made it to the ground. And then what ends up happening is I look at them and I'm like, you know what? A while ago, when I'd been in a couple little, under fire in a couple rescues that we had done, the Highway Patrol, and I'm just going to have to kind of go a little break here.
We only have like 1 minute left.
no.
Yeah, so we run out of time here on AM radio. This is it.
All right.
So let's summarize it in the next 60 seconds. And
Okay.
sorry to do that.
No. So the Highway Patrol had given me a flag to take to Afghanistan. I was going to return it, and they said, no, Emmett, you return it. We want you to do it. And it gave me hope. And so when I hit the ground and I'm working on this soldier that's severely injured, I see these guys are withdrawn, and I said, hey, as I'm working, I'm saying, hey, anyone want a job in California in the Highway Patrol? Just contact the academy. Everyone knows my name.
You're recruited for the CHP while you're doing a rescue.
Right. But all of a sudden, these guys started coming to life. I said, you watch over there, and they got involved. They didn't think about right now. They thought about their future. They thought about the next day. They thought about after this and after the deployment in their civilian life. And all of a sudden, they had something to look forward to, and they just came to life. It was awesome.
They had hope. They had hope. Emmett, I'm sorry to cut you off, man. It's such a cool story. It's Selfish Prayer, and you know what? It's Independence Day weekend, and so many of us, we just can't have any feeling in our heart other than thank you for what you did that day, what you did like 200 other times. But you know what? A lot of you guys do while the rest of us are back here at home trying to, asking ourselves a question, what can I do? But on that day, you gave some young men some hope, and I know you guys came back and you're here to tell us about it. So I look forward to hanging out with you hopefully soon. I know we're having a big event. Caroline, aren't we having an event? We're inviting Emmett out to it. Yep. Taste for a Cause. Do we have your mic on, Caroline?
Yes, we do. We have Taste for a Cause coming up on August 19th.
Nice.
Randy Peters. It's going to be a great event.
So you get to hang out with Emmett, hopefully. You get more Mark Haney if you want me. Obviously, you can get me on social media. You can go to our offices in Rockland. And we got to thank our sponsors, too. Don't we, Caroline?
Yes, we do. Thank you so much. Special thank you to James Beckwith and Five Star Bank, the Entrepreneurs Bank, our neighbor Luke Smith at Audi Rockland, Murad and Derek and the solar experts at Sun System Technology, and Jono Bronson with Hub International.
Yes, ma'am. And when we return, we're going to share our takeaways and our closing thoughts. But I want to thank you, Emmett. I also want to thank Scott. And next week, we're going to have Dr. Grover Lee of Wise Villa. Ryan Graham's going to join us of Track 7 Brewery. And we're going to have a special appearance by one of our local House of Representative members, Mr. Tom McClintock, going to be an all-star show. Join the revolution at HaneyBiz.com, courtesy of the Entrepreneurs Organization. This is the Haney Biz Project.